Welcome everyone to another biology lesson where we are going to discuss biology from 1, topic 4, study skills. You are with me, George Chapusa. Stay there as I explain important information on what you are going to use as you study biology. This time we are going to share study skills because you are supposed to read this biology. But if you don't know how to study, and you don't know the skills how you may use for you to study, then it will not bring any benefit to you. So stay there, listen very carefully. By the end of this lesson, I will expect you to know how to summarize information from books in form of tables, flow diagrams, and notes. By the end of this lesson, I will expect you to summarize information from books you read in form of tables, flow diagrams, and notes. Stay there. Let us share this together. Our lesson is about study skills. Study skills. All of us, we involve ourselves into studies. But sometimes we might be missing what we study if we don't know some of the skills for us to use as we study. So this has been a chance to you for you to study the skills. Now, first of all, I will wish you to read the passage or the story about Neri. I will wish you to read this following story about Neri. So, I might help you to read, but as I read, you should also be reading silently. One day, Neri received a letter from her father. Her father works on the northern part of Malawi, while Neri stays with her mother in Blantyre. All right? So this is the letter. Dear daughter, how are you, my child? I do hope you are well and enjoying being in your new school. I promise that if you attain a score of B in your exam, I will buy you a new dress. If you score an A, I'll take you to a trip to Rongwe for 2 days during the vacation. But if you score a C, I won't be happy and I may decide not to come to school to visit you. Work hard and you'll make it in life. Your dad. That has been the end of the letter. That has been the end of it. I hope you were reading together with me as I was reading. Now, we wish to train or to help one another on the study skills. That has been a very brief letter, and we have all read that letter together. But now, what do we need to help one another? Now, when Neri went home, she was asked by her mother what the father had said in the letter. Neri said, Daddy said that he will not come to visit me in school, but if I pass well, he will take me to Rongwe for a trip. Have you seen how Neri has explained the whole of that letter? It was a very big letter, but when Neri summarized that letter in just this sentence from here. Neri said, Daddy said that he will not come to visit me in school, but if I pass well, he will take me to Rongwe for a trip. All right, you were also reading the story of Neri. All right, you have just read the answer to Neri from the mother, and let us see what we have on the questions. And we are going to help one another in this type of a lesson. Now, the first question which is guiding you to what you need to know when we are saying you should be able to make notes from any kind of notes that you read. After reading Neri's answer, do you think that is what the father really communicated? I don't know. I will not get that answer. Which areas in the letter did Neri miss out? So, I wish you were here, but I'll still bring a discussion with you so that we clear one another on this. Now, this is my discussion from the story. Though Neri read the letter, she left out so many important things that her father had wanted to communicate. I think you also noted the same. This is because Neri just read the letter. All right? Okay. So she did not take time to carefully go through the letter to get the whole information that her father had communicated. I also noticed the same. The practice of reading something and then carefully going through it to understand the information being delivered is what is called study. So if Neri was carefully studying this letter and then understanding point after the point, could have not explained to the mother in such a way. So when you happen to practice reading something and then carefully going through it to understand the information being delivered is what is called study. If you read the story carefully, you will realize what Neri's father had two good rewards for a good performance. A dress and a trick. But Neri didn't mention about the dress. Never mention about no reward if there is no A and B. So if you continue to study the letter carefully, you will realize that the father also had one bad reward or punishment if Neri failed to do well in that class. All right? I think you're getting something from what I am trying to explain. We are trying to direct one another to a perfect kind of way of study. But now, I have tried to explain a situation, and this situation is coming to you, and then we are trying to share ideas to find out if really Neri what explained to the mother was true. And according to my discussions here, I find that you might also judge the same way, the way how I am judging. So, if it was you, what do you think could be the definition of the word study? So what is a study in your case? What is a study? According to what we have just shared, study is the careful examination of something with an aim of understanding the information that is being communicated. That's correct. So study is therefore doing more than just reading. Never just read a passage or a book. What you need is to carefully examine something with an aim of understanding the information that is being communicated. Then that is what we may call it study. So, reading something and then taking the important parts of the information is also important. So, it is reading something and then taking the importance or important parts of the information. That is also another way you may study. So from the story, Neri's father wanted her to know that he is concerned about her performance and he was ready to reward it. Yeah, so study skills, which you also need to know. Study skills might include always used to carry out effective study. Always used to carry out effective study with an aim of understanding information being read. That's what you need to know. And carry out the following activities as you read. Okay, now we have an activity where we are going to summarize this activity together, because as we help one another on how to study, we're supposed to be bringing in some paragraphs so that we help on how you may get information from the same paragraphs. Now here, I want you to still improve yourself in how you may summarize information in terms of tables, flow diagrams, and notes. Now, here we have a plant, a story. As I read, you'll also read the same way as I read. Now, a plant has two main parts. The part that grows above the ground is called the shoot, and the part that grows below the ground is called a root. The shoot is made of stem, leaves, and flowers. Leaves help in the process of photosynthesis. The plant also have flowers. Flowers are involved in reproduction. The roots absorb water and mineral salts from the soil for use by the plant. Thank you. I hope you have also finished reading. But now, for us to understand and for us to know if we have really understood what is in that passage, there are some questions here. These questions will demand some answers so that you correctly understand what is in the information. So read the above passage and then you should help yourself to answer the questions which are here below. Now, 1. How many parts does a plant have? Now, these questions are just trying to bring you back to the passage so that you go back and understand if you happen to read the parts of a plant. Okay? What is the color of plant leaves? Okay. Then what role do leaves play in a plant? All right? So, if you happen to understand that passage, can you attempt such kind of questions? Okay? If you happen to find solutions to that question, I still have question number 4. Now, use the information from the passage to fill in the information required in the table by indicating part of the left column and its function on the right column. What do we have on the left column? Part of the plant. Try to bring them and then their function. I continue. Still with the questions? Then, using information from the table, fill in the blank boxes in the diagram below. Plant, here you put type and here you continue with another type. I don't know what you're going to continue here. These are questions coming to you. But now, assuming you are studying and then you wish to make proper answers for that, what would you do? What do you think could be coming after shoots? All right. Anyway, 6. Write down 5 main points about plants that you have learned from the above passage. That's question number 6. I know this is new for you in biology, and then you have just read the passage. Some of you might be able to attempt those questions, and some you have failed to manage attempting those questions. Now, I'll still bring the discussion with you. Let us have this discussion. So, to acquire good reading skills, one needs to read carefully to understand the information. All right? Then, from the activity, you may have answered correctly, but indicating that plants have 2 parts. Leaves are green, and leaves are involved in photosynthesis. That's one of the answers you could have given. For you to answer these questions carefully, you probably needed to read the passage more than once. Yes, read it more than once. In repeated reading, you were able to note the important points in the passage. So, if you were not reading repeatedly, you can pause it and go back to that passage and then keep reading so that you also have answers to that passage. Then, this careful examination of the passage is called study. It enabled you to understand the passage and then answer the question asked. If you failed, go back like what I have already said. So, after understanding the passage, it was possible for you to divide different parts in the passage into groups and other parts in another group. So this grouping enabled you to fill information on the table. I hope that. So on the right side, you filled all the parts of the plant, and on the left, you filled their functions. All right. So the tables help us to break information or data collected into groups that can be carefully understood. Because in the passage there, it was hard for you to understand some of those parts and their functions, but in a table form, you could have at least pressed them and then bring their functions properly. So that's why we wish you to know how to summarize information in tables, flow diagrams, and notes. The horizontal spaces in a table are called rows. The vertical spaces are called columns. Which vertical spaces? The vertical spaces of the table, and the columns of the table as well. So each column carries information concerning a particular item being studied. From the above activity, the first column recorded the parts of the plant only. Then the second recorded the function of the part recorded in the first column. So that is what I can say about the tables. So in my case of helping you how to answer such kind of questions, this could be the nature of the table. Part of a plant, leaf. Function, photosynthesis. Stem, hold leaves and flowers. Then flowers, reproduction. All right? So from that table, I think you'll be in a position now to understand what the questions was trying to mean. Now, from the activity, you may have also realized that information in passage can be presented in a diagram that shows how each part links to another. Such a diagram is called a flow diagram. It's called a flow diagram. So a flow diagram shows how various parts in a given information links to one another. For instance, leaves, stem, and flowers are linked to the shoots. You remember I showed you a certain flow diagram where there were no some answers in other boxes. So this could be another solution to what you are maybe struggling to find. So shoot, roots form the whole plant. Shoot, here there was no answer. Then here you may have the answer here was root. And the shoots grow into leaves, stem, and flowers. That's what I think the passage was talking about. All right. So a flow diagram can also be used to show how a process takes place. For instance, the leaf absorbs light. It carries out photosynthesis to make food for the plant. So in the simplest way, this could be a flow diagram. Light being produced, and this light help to combine water and carbon dioxide for this leaf to make the food by the process which we call photosynthesis. So the food being manufactured through this process, photosynthesis. Yeah, so in this activity, you may have realized that only understanding the information, it was then possible to rewrite the same information in a simpler form using your own models. So one of the models are what we have just shown them here, so that you make those passages well understood in your own way. Yeah. You may have written down the following 5 points about plants, among others. Plants are made of a shoot and roots. I think that is what you could have taken note. In a shoot, a plant are composed of a stem, leaves, and flowers. Flowers are reproductive structures. Stem support leaves and flowers. Roots absorb water and minerals. Did you also do the same as you were also reading the same passage? As you were also helping yourself to know how to make summary of notes as you read the passage? If you didn't, but this is what I expected you maybe to have done, or you could have done more than what we could have, we have just shown it here. So, the making of a summary of all the points learned from a passage is called note taking. Note taking. Yeah. So notes put complex information into similar forms that can be easily understood and read in the future. So carry out an activity. Carry out the following activity. You should also carry out this activity. Can you read? You should also read the summary information from a book where we have Dalama is a student at Mzuzu Secondary School. He read the following passage about bees from a book. So you'll also read this passage carefully. This is an activity coming back to you as where you are also supposed to improve your skills as you study. Now, this is the passage. life cycle of honeybees. Life cycle of honeybees. The other part, I was helping you how to read the passage, but this time I will want you to read this passage on your own. I'll stay there and wait for you as you read. You have to be very fast as you read. I expect you to be a fast reader. The passage continues. Thank you very much. Now, here we have some questions. These are the guiding questions for us to see if we have really understood that passage, and then help us to collect more important points from that passage. So, make notes of at least 10 points from the passage. That's what you're supposed to do. You should make notes at least 10 points from the passage. If you feel like you have forgotten the passage, you can scroll back and then read it again as you wish to understand it better. Make notes, at least 10 points from the passage. 10 important points. 2, make a flow chart showing the life cycle of a bee. Then 3, make at least 2 tables using the information in the passage. According to what we have just shared, according to what we have just shown you, according to what we have just discussed in this lesson, I expect you to develop notes on your own, all the 10 points from the passage. I expect you to make a flowchart showing the life cycle of this bee. And then I expect you to make 2 tables using the information in the passage. Thank you very much. You have been there listening. You have been there understanding what I was explaining. Now, for now, I wish you to have at least a review exercise. A very review exercise. Review exercise. Read the exercise and then find solutions to what so far we have discussed since we started. Find answers to what so far we have discussed from when we started. If you have been following my lessons, I expect you to answer these questions. Thank you. If you still miss out the questions, you'll come back. Continue there. There we go. Yeah, so these are some of the questions which will help you to remember whatever we have discussed since we started. So this has been biology from 1 and topic 1 to topic 4. So thank you for being there. Thank you for being a good listener. I hope you have learned a lot as we have shared different type of experiences in my lessons. I thank you for being a good learner. Thank you for being a good listener. Thank you. And next time when we meet on this biology, we'll upgrade ourselves to another topic, another lesson, which will be biology from 1, topic 4. And this now will be living things and their environment. Living things and their environment. That has been George Chapusa. I thank you for being very good listening to this lesson. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you.